Hello, I am Mudita, and welcome back to Satisfactory. This is my 1.0 playthrough where I attempt to load balance all of my factories. Why? Because for some strange reason, this is fun for me. It's time to get a lot more parts sent to storage. So today, I'll be automating the basic copper and steel parts. I'll be setting up two different rooms for the different parts. And all in all, these are pretty straightforward and simple, so feel free to pause and take a look at these. I'll also have links to the production planner down in the comments below. Everything is still running like a charm. So today we are going to go across the hall, and we're going to go right over here. You know, I really might lift up these hypertubes at some point, just so I can run across here. But for now, we're going to deal with the copper products. So if we come over here, I've already set up the really quick load balancer. My copper is on two 375 lines, and in total this room needs 250, which is 2/3. So pretty much the easiest load balancing I get to do at this point is just one splitter, merge two of them, send one of them onto the sink. So if we come down here, I will just delete this one right here, connect it to that, and that'll get the copper going. So for this, it's going to be real simple. And as you can see on the side, I've got my to-do list here. And with the handy dandy dimensional depots, I've got all the parts I need. So let's go ahead and start with the wire, and then we'll do the constructors for the cable, and then lastly, we'll do the refineries for the copper sheets. All right, we can hit T to remove all that HUD information. Lock it in place, make sure this is the correct one. Go ahead and place that one, and switch to number 2. Put that one in place, looks good. I only need 4 constructors for the cable. Let's go ahead and line these up with the rest of the constructors. Looks good. Go ahead and place that there. And come down to the end. Can lock the first one in place, and probably need a little bit more room on the other side. Let's just see. Yeah, that should be good. And then we just need to lock this one in place, make sure that's even, make sure the ladders are lined up. Perfect. Just go ahead and connect this and this, and let's go ahead and set some recipes. So with the copper sheets, these aren't going to be at 100%. We're going to make 20 per minute each. Might as well color everything copper. Right, and all of the constructors are going to be at 100%. So that's cable, and now we just need regular wire. Now I need to bring the two blueprints together. So I'm going to take a splitter and find the spot that they're on. Should be right there. We'll just go one higher than those mergers. I'm just going to place a temporary foundation on each one of these to make it a little bit easier on myself. The wire is going to have an input of 150 copper ingots, so that's a Mark III, which would mean these two need to be Mark II. That'll be 75. And everything after that can be Mark I. The cable needs an input of 240 wire, so we're going to use Mark III here. Just delete that. Which would mean that one's Mark II and Mark II. And then those will be Mark I. And for this one, I'm just going to take a lift and put it right here on the side. I may have to move it, we'll see. And then we'll go up 2. And this needs to be Mark II because it's going to be 100 copper sheets. which needs 100 ingots. There we go. Alright, let's do the load balancing for these. This incoming belt is 250, and I need to split it between 150 going to the wire and 100 going to the copper sheets. And luckily for me, I can use my 2/5 and 3/5. So with this one, I want the 3/5 to be the top belt, so I'm going to use this blueprint right here. Don't think... Can't... Nope, that's going to clip everything into it. Alright, we'll just go for right here. Go. And this can just plug in right here onto the side. And now this belt right here is my 3/5, which is this one. So what I'm going to do... Let's just have the lift go like that. So now... Go from here to here. That looks better. There we go. Alright, so there's the 150. And this right here is 100, because that's 2/5. And all the ingots are taken care of. Now, I need to do some load balancing for the outputs of these. I have 10 constructors. They're all at 100%, so I'm making 300 wire per minute. I need 240 of them to go over to the cable. The rest of it I'm going to send through that triple wall hole right there. Luckily for me, each machine is outputting 30. So what I can do is I can actually just delete this right here. I can delete that. And this right here will be our first one. So that will go in there. So that's my 60 wire, and that's going to head to storage. Now I just need to merge up the rest of this and send it over the cable. Put a merger right here in the middle. We'll just get ourselves a short lift on this side. So that's 60 into there. And then those two come down to here, so that's 60. And then... Oh, actually, no. My mistake. This is 90. This is 3. So yeah, that needs to be Mark 2. And that needs to be Mark 3. And here's my 240. Grab the pole. And then with this, we'll just have this come right along here. Now I just have the outputs. So let's go ahead and just put that there. And this is making an excessive 120 cable per minute. Why? It gave me really nice numbers to work with. And every once in a while, cable's actually something you can go through in large amounts for certain projects. So I don't mind making a little bit extra. And for the copper sheets, I am just going to have them go down this section right here of the foundation, and then they can go right into a lift and take them out of here. It is really easy to line it up with the center of the machine instead of the solid output. I really don't think I have that issue with any other machine except for refineries. So this is actually 100, so let's just make these Mark II. And we can run this out. And just like that, the copper room is all done. Maybe I should put a roof on it. But let's move on to the steel. I'm going to add another room right next to these ones. So right here, we're going to do all of these steel products. It's definitely not going to need the whole space. So the next project after this will probably go right next door. Because this, unlike some of the other ones, is making some products for future products. And as you can see on the right of the screen, I've got my to-do list. So I've got all of the blueprints I need loaded up on my hotbar. And this is basically going to be broken up into 4 recipes. So the first one that we're going to do right here in this corner is all of these constructors. I'm going to give myself 2 foundations here in the front, 1 on the side. And let's go ahead and place that one there. And then we're just going to do 2 more of the other version. And like I mentioned, there's going to be 4 different recipes. This would be a good place to just kind of split everything right down the middle. Give myself an extra walkway. So on this side, we're going to do the foundries. And this is another new blueprint that I'm pretty happy about. 8 foundries all in one blueprint. Oh, the Mark II blueprinter is so great. Let's go ahead and line that up. Same 2 spaces, and we can go ahead and just plop that down. Beautiful. Alright, so for the second half, I'm going to need my 8 assembler blueprint. But with this one, let me go over there so I can line this up better. Alright, so since this blueprint is smaller than the total of this one, I want to get it centered. So it should be right in the middle of this one. And I might as well just give myself 2 foundations because I think I've got plenty of space in here. Yeah. Alright, and last but not least, last set of 4 assemblers. So if we can, let's go ahead and just line these up the same with those ones, which I think should be right there. Yeah. And there's all the machines. So let's go set some recipes. Let's go ahead and start with all of these constructors. These are all using this new recipe that when I saw it, I was really excited to use it because steel pipes are something you use a lot of. And I know in the end game, coal is going to be more useful than it used to be. In the past, it was really just used for steel, I think. Or at least that's what I use most of it for. So with this one, I can take 100 iron ingots per minute and make 25 steel pipes. Just cutting out coal completely. And I happen to make quite a few iron ingots. So all of these are going to be set to 100%. For the foundries, these are all going to be using the solid steel ingots because I've already got the iron ingots. And it's just a great recipe. And these are all clocked to 100% as well. For the big brick of assemblers, these are all using the Encased Industrial Pipe alternate recipe. We are going to change the clock speed here. So I'm going to be making 30 a minute, but I'm using 8 machines, so 3 3/4. For the last assemblers, so as it turns out, you don't actually make that recipe in assemblers. It's foundries. So minor change. I just need to swap these from assemblers to foundries because I just didn't write down the right thing in my spreadsheet. So now I can set the recipe to the molded beam. I didn't realize that these were in the foundry. I just kind of assumed because it was 2 parts and one of them's concrete, I just assumed that it wouldn't be in a foundry and that it would be an assembler, and that just threw me for a loop. So I am going to take advantage of this alternate recipe of the molded beams. So you get a little bit better of a ratio for the steel ingots to the beams, but it does take some concrete. But the default recipe is just so awful that I definitely think this is worth it. And these 4 are all clocked to 100%. And the beauty of this belt work is a bunch of it's actually really easy. So what I'm going to do is just delete this right here. I'm going to delete that. Because each group of 3, they need 100 each. Each one of them needs 300, and I happen to have a whole bunch of lines of 300 iron ingots down below. So that's basically what I'm going to do, is it's just going to feed one belt into one group of 3. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to place a floor hole here. We need these to be Mark 4. And then from under here, I'm going to go, instead of the next level up like I would normally do, I'm going to go ahead and go 2 higher for all of these, for these 3 on the top. And the reason for it is it'll make the boat work a little bit easier coming in from that hallway, since you basically have to skip that middle height unless you want to create your own doorway essentially. But I really want to use these because they are handy. So all of the iron ingots are going to come in like that. For these foundries, I'm going to do the same thing. The only downside is because I don't really want to rearrange this to have it be able to come in as easy as that is. It would be nice, but it's not worth it. I'm just going to go ahead and bring it down like this. And I'll just bring in that like that, and then the bottom one can come in from here. Since the input amounts for these are 40 for each, the initial belt and lifts right here are fine being Mark 1, but after that, this needs to be Mark 2, because it needs to be able to handle 80. Same with the other side. So that means this is 160. And these both need to be Mark 4, because I need 320 of each. And I'll go through and make sure everything else is correct. Let's take a look at these. The Encased Industrial Beams, using the Encased Industrial Pipe recipe, I need 180 steel pipes and 150 concrete. So the steel pipes are going to be coming from right here. So let's deal with the pipes. I need 180. Each of these machines is outputting 25. So that means this group of 6 right here is 150. And now I just need to combine 30 more. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to disconnect this one from right there. I'm going to send it down. And between these two, we'll get our 30. So we'll do something like this. So that one will plug into there. And then we'll just have like a lift that's somewhere over here for this one. So that's 50. And I'm going to clean this up, but it's basically just doing a quick and simple 5-way split. So this right here is 50. So this right here needs to be able to hold the 50 plus the extra bit that's going to cycle back around, right? So a quick and easy way to figure out if that's going to be fast enough is you just need to multiply it by 1.2, because this is going to carry an extra 20%. So Mark 1 is fine with 50. We can go ahead and just put that there. I'll grab a little stubby lift and plug that in. So that right there is our 30. And then we have the bit that cycles back to the merger. And then the last merger to group up that 20. For now, I'm just going to group up the rest of it and send it to storage so that it can fill up those containers and my dimensional depots. But in the next episode, I'm going to have to revisit this and resplit this up for the future projects. This right here is way more steel pipes than what I need to be going to storage. With the first set of foundries, they're all making the steel ingots, and all of the steel ingots are going to the steel beam production. So I just need to group all of these together, and I went ahead and just swap this merger to face backwards instead of forwards. And then we're just going to use a floor hole here, if that looks lined up. Each of these are putting out 60, so this is actually Mark 2. Which means this needs to be Mark 3. And now if we come down here, we can send that into this one, and do the same thing with these. A couple Mark 2 lifts. Actually, why don't we just go redo this whole thing down here. We're going to go up 2 higher. Change my mind. So let's go just there. Alright, so this is a full Mark IV belt, 480, and then we'll just send that straight across into there. Should be nice and level. Alright. Now I just need to do some load balancing for the concrete, and obviously clean this up a bit. But let's take care of the concrete first. So it took me a little while to figure out how exactly I was going to do this, so instead of showing you me fumbling through it all, let me just give you the rundown of how this is going to work. So I created another blueprint. So this is my 4/9 and 5/9. The way this is going to work, I'm going to delete all of this, so this sink and the dimensional depot that's just on the other side of there. And that 270 line is going to plug right into here. And doing ninths is really easy because if you split it all three ways, you've got thirds. So there's a third, here's a third that's headed to here. So 3/9, 3/9. And then this one right here splits it all three ways. So we've got a fourth, and then you can't really see it, but there's a fifth connection right there. And then one going to this one. So this one has our 4/9, that one has 5/9. We take 270 divided by 9 times 5, so that's my 150 line, which is what I need for the Encased Industrial Beams. Now I need a 320 line. So that means I've already got 120 headed to this one right here. And yes, I absolutely could have just used a smart splitter because that line is full, and so that would have been a really easy split. My only thinking is there's a good chance that I'll need to split something using this in the future, so might as well just make it now, and hopefully that'll pay off in the future. If not, then I'm just making things hard on myself. So for the other line, I've already got the 120. So I need to split off 200. And that's what this is going to do. I added this because all I'm going to need to do now is take a Mark III belt and connect this merger right here with that belt once this sink is deleted. This is just temporary so we can get a bird's eye view. So using the smart splitter, I have a Mark II belt and a Mark II belt. Those are both going to be any, and that is going to be set to overflow. So we have 120 going here, 120 headed into here. If I split 120 three ways, I've got 40 on each. So 120 plus 80, here's my 200. And the rest will continue to overflow into the awesome sink. With the iron ingots already being done, I went ahead and used this pure coal node, and I have this just going down here, and then it just kind of skips over all of those belts by going under them, and then heads all the way to that side of the factory where I've got the tower bringing everything up, and that's just being sunk, just so that I can have the coal and the iron ingots headed into the factory at the same time. I need a total of 100 water for the copper setup, and so I'm just using that water extractor right there, underclocked to 100, and I went ahead and got that turned on, and the water is completely full. And here at this end of the factory, we've got all the chaos of the sinks, although we're starting to slowly get rid of some of them. And if we come up here, this is the small setup that I have for the coal. Alright, it's a little bit hard to see, but the coal is coming into this splitter right here. I'm then splitting it all three ways with 1/3 of it going into the merger, meeting up with the excess copper ingots, and those are going into the sink. And I went ahead and left myself a sign, so I've got 160 free and 125 free. Thankfully the load balancing for the coal is super easy. I'm using the pure coal node, so I've got 480. If I divide that by 3, I've got 160. Multiply that by 2, there's my 320. So I just needed 2/3 going into the factory, 1/3 is getting sunk. As far as the iron goes, it's really simple. I just needed a whole bunch of the belts of 300, with the exception of the one for steel. Since I needed 320 coal, I need 320 ingots. So thankfully, this line right here has an extra 30. So this was, again, just split it all three ways, regroup 2 of them, and now I have 20. Merge that with one of the 300 lines, and I am all set. Both of these rooms are going to start up pretty quick, so I'm just going to do them one at a time. So let's start with the copper. Alright, let's get this started. And just like that, I think all the machines are on at 100%. It's a nice full 120 line of cable and 120 copper sheets. Still gonna have a couple gaps, but that is okay. It's a nice healthy amount. One room down, one to go. Concrete has the farthest to travel, so we're gonna get this one started first. Now with this part, I pre-clipped all of these lifts through the belts that they're going to. Not my favorite thing in the world, but it just made setting all of this up just a little bit easier to get this started because I have quite a few belts. And the last belt. And with all the Encased Industrial Beams staying on, that's pretty much the last one to get completely up and running. So not too shabby. And you've probably noticed, I decided to put down a whole bunch of metal beams. And it felt that it kind of brought these rooms together a little bit more. And my plan was always to support these platforms that the second floor is on. But I just didn't really like the look of having a whole bunch of just beams running down to the floor, and it just took away from where I could put belts and whatnot. And so I kind of like this idea. Let me know what you think. I figure it's an alien planet and I'm pulling parts out of a pocket dimension. These beams must be strong enough. And that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Ah, what a beautiful sight. I now have 60 wire, 120 cable, 100 copper sheets, 180 steel beams. Currently there's 270 pipes, but eventually I plan on only having 60 go into my storage, and 30 encased industrial beams. That is mission complete. In the next video, I'm going to use a lot of these steel pipes to make modular frames, rotors, and motors. So look forward to that, and thanks for watching.